In this video, we will be analyzing the San Diego Union newspaper and the evolution from 1981 to 1983. The San Diego Tribune was first published back in 1861. The first front page we'll be looking at is from 1981. In this early issue, there is only a few pictures for a minimalistic feel. The titles of the articles are sectioned off by using a bigger and bolder font. Because of them trying to fit a bunch of different articles on the front page, the fonts for each title seem to be a bit off for the purpose of making it all squeeze. Each column is equally formatted. Even though it is spaced equally, it still seems a bit cluttered because of the lack of pictures. Only black and white pictures were available back then. There is only one ad on this front page where the other articles hit big issues happening in the world at the time. The next front page is from 1982. A visible shift is apparent even in the year since the first one we looked at was published. Immediately, we see that the layout of this issue is better. The way they split up the article helps it seem less cluttered. There's a minimalistic amount of pictures on this issue, but it works for this layout. It is very spaced out on the top, but it gradually gets a tad less spaced out as you get to the bottom where more articles and ads are added. Making the articles more vertical instead of horizontal adds a different depth to the newspaper. And here we see the front page of the second 1982 front page. As the newspapers have gone on, one can see how they have upped their game on their front page so that they are more visually appealing. Immediately you can see how things are a little more spaced out on this front page, but the more space is put in between each article so things seem more clear. They changed up their size of their pictures with one big picture and one small. It gives the newspaper a variance that works in their favor, putting the article in sum up boxes instead of long columns. As we look at the final front page from the San Diego Union Tribune, we see how much they evolved as a newspaper in several aspects. The San Diego Union Tribune sophisticated their paper as time went up to keep with a modern look they were trying to strive for. Looking at the front page of this newspaper, we see a few things. More pictures, bolded article titles to separate them better, and the continuance of spacing in between articles to keep things clear. Even though the first picture is black and white, it has a little more clarity than other pictures have in other newspapers. The bolding of the article titles brings a different level to the newspaper. As we look at all the newspapers, we see a great evolution of the San Diego Union Tribune. We are able to see them find what works and what does not, while also creating a layout that is appealing to the eye. If we as readers do not like what we see, we immediately are not drawn to it. But if we see something that is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, not only are we drawn to it for business, but they have found something that can work for their company. The biggest difference I want to point out is their change of font over the years. We see the headlines go from skinny to bold, creating that emphasis. The San Diego Tribune has ceased printing in 2015 and is now printing in LA. They made history by giving San Diegans the news from around the world.